Personal story segment tonight. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and her entourage met with Pope Benedict today in Rome. The meeting lasted about 15 minutes, and when it was over, Speaker Pelosi issued this statement, quote, "In our conversation, I had the opportunity to praise the church's leadership in fighting poverty, hunger, and global warming," unquote. Sounds great, right? But here's the Vatican statement, quote, "His Holiness took the opportunity to speak of the requirements of the natural moral law and the Church's consistent teaching on the dignity of human life from conception to natural death, which enjoin all Catholics and especially legislators," unquote. Translation, Pope Benedict scolded Ms. Pelosi for being a pro-abortion rights zealot. Joining us now from New York, Fox News analyst Jonathan Morris, a Catholic priest and author of the book, The Promise, God's Purpose and Plan When Life Hurts. Now, you spent a lot of time at the Vatican, Father.
I do.
And the two statements are 180 degrees apart. You know, how do you read that?
It's almost like they were in two different meetings, right? And
yeah.
I think what the predicament that the Pope was in, and I was watching this very closely as it was leading up to this meeting, was here is the number 3 person in the United States government to take over the presidency in the case that that was necessary. She's coming to Italy on an 8-day trip. I assume she asked to meet with the Pope. You know, as a pastor and also as head of state, he's going to accept that. But at the same time, the Holy Father knows that Nancy Pelosi, Senator Pelosi, is known without a doubt as the one who are the most prominent promoters of abortion in the United States. And not only that, she went on the record really confusing Catholics about what the Catholic Church teaches about this important issue. I remember when she said, as an ardent practicing Catholic, and then went on to explain, this is during the election, how really it's only been in the last 50 years that the Church has said that life begins at conception. See, there's a lot of confusion, and in this statement that you just read, Bill, from the Vatican, it was very succinct, very clear, I think charitable as well, but very clear. Listen, it's okay. Not all of us are perfect. You don't have to stand in front of me as perfect, but just if you're going to say you're Catholic, say what the Catholic Church teaches.
Okay, now, Jesus would want me to be fair to Nancy Pelosi. All right?
I agree.
Okay. Nancy Pelosi uses the argument that all pro-choice Catholic politicians in the United States use. Her personal beliefs in Catholicism do not reflect public policy. She is simply upholding the Constitution in the form of Roe v. Wade. Does the Pope take that into consideration?
Bill, I think all of us read through that. You know, you could say, I'm personally against slavery, but I'm going to vote in favor of it because I'm representing a group of people. It just doesn't work. That doesn't work. She's not speaking to somebody who's going to be taken in that way. Another thing very interesting I found, Bill, was that normally when somebody goes to meet the Pope, I remember when I went with my own family, there are photographers everywhere taking pictures. I went online and looked for those pictures. They're usually released 1 hour after the meeting. There is no official photograph that I found that in any way suggests that this would have been a photo op. And I think I would guess that the other side is a little bit disappointed. I think the Pope was very clear and also didn't allow himself to...
Do you think the Pope said no pictures?
I don't know. What I'm saying is that I don't find any. I don't find any, and that's not normal. I think it was very careful not to be taken advantage of and being used as a political token for her own purposes. I'm sure that wasn't her intention.
I don't think the Pope did not want to be used in any way as affirming Speaker Pelosi's political view. But it is a complicated question in the sense that there are Catholic Democrats, the Kennedys, Mario Cuomo, who are loyal Catholics. And they go to church, receive the Eucharist, and they say, look, it is my duty to uphold the Constitution. So therefore, I'm not promoting abortion. I don't like abortion. In my private life, I don't do it, and I tell other people not to, but I'm not going to impose my Catholicism, my belief system, my religious belief system on the public. Now, I guess the Pope just rejects that all day long.
Well, we live in a republic, and we vote people to make decisions for us. And to suggest that I can leave all my values at the door and go in and somehow vote based on opinion polls is simply not what we're looking for.
Maybe Pelosi agree. Look, that's a little harsh. again, I'm trying to reflect what Jesus would do in the interview here.
I like this, Bill.
Maybe she believes that the Constitution, and the Constitution does give an American a right to abortion, and that she's going to uphold it. Look, I know the ruse, and I know that Nancy Pelosi is running in San Francisco and promoting San Francisco values, and certainly abortion is in the upper echelon of San Francisco values. And that's what she does.
Right.
But I'm just wondering, the Pope, he doesn't seem to be the guy that's buying that at all.
No, and I think it's just a good moment, and I'm glad you did this segment, Bill, just to be very clear that if you want to be Catholic, you can't be pro-abortion. It's very simple. It's very simple. It doesn't mean that anybody who's had an abortion, anybody who's been involved can no longer be Catholic. No, there's something like, hey, I made a mistake. I messed up. Now I want to get back. That's what we're looking at, not this idea, I have my own version of Catholicism. That doesn't work.